Hi, welcome to Finding the Word. I am Melanie Brown. Here goes another weekend down, and boy, did it fly by this time again. I swear they get faster every time. When I'm working, there's a lot of things I realize that I'm not able to do. I'm gone more, and so that leaves me with more things to do when I am home, which then sucks the time. And so this weekend, I thought I was going to get all these things accomplished, just like always. I'm not going to say I'm disappointed, but even today I got up and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be, I'm going to do this and this. But then it was like, wait, Marlon's like, weren't you going to help me find a job? Oh, that's right. We need to put in some more applications. Let's look over the jobs that people suggested on Nextdoor app. Well, then there's a couple hours. Then here comes Jackson and Julian. Weren't we supposed to do math for a few hours today? Weren't we going to go over the problems that we needed and get in some other chapters? That's right. We have to do that. Then I finished that. Here comes Lexi. I'm bored. They're on the playing games and stuff and doing this and that. And I'm like, well, do you want to play a board game? I wanted to say somewhere down the side. And what I probably would have said, I can't. Ma'am, Mommy has a lot of things I have to do. I'm behind on. Maybe next time. But I've learned over the years, don't do it. Just if they're bored or they come to you and they want something to do, then you stop what you're doing and make sure it's the priority. So we played Mousetrap and played it again and again. And well, then it's time to fix food and get something to eat and this and that. So there goes my day. But that's okay. It was a day well spent. I will continue working on the things I need to work on later. Another point I want to make before I get to the word is I thought that I did not hear from this particular medical facility about the consultation I wanted to have. If you will remember, I mentioned that. Well, they are blowing my phone up since yesterday about my appointment, which is Tuesday. I don't know where the miscommunication came in. I thought it was Friday. That's what I heard. But apparently it was Tuesday. So, I guess that's good news. I still am on the path to holistic approach. I'm on the path to making adjustments and changes. I'm still going down that road. So I am very thankful for that. But I still have my consultation coming up. So we'll see how that goes Tuesday. The word is devices. It is devices today because this is an ongoing thing. It's a thing where it's a conversation in the house, especially with the older ones, about the younger children not needing to have any devices. They should never be on devices. Devices are not good for them in their ages. And me saying, okay, there are things we can do to govern their time. They need to learn self-control. We can monitor and we can adjust and give them a certain amount of time. And it's a back and forth thing. So I thought, what? Let me look into devices. And then sure enough, devices is in the Bible. Every word so far, I swear, is in there. And I love it. It makes me smile. No matter what the word is, and I go and I look, seems to always be there somewhere. But the first thing I thought about was, okay, what are the negatives for the devices? What are the issues with them? How much is too much time for the children? What are the issues that they're talking about for warnings for both children and adults with devices? Well, screen time is what what they're calling devices is screen time. So too much screen time for children depends on their age, it says. But they basically say 1 hour. If they are between 2 to 5 years old, they should not be on at all unless it's like a video call or something if they're 18 months or under. Should be none of this little peekaboo games and all this stuff that they do have for little ones. They're saying no, before 18 months they shouldn't even be on. And then when you get ages 6 and up, 2 hours is the limit. And they really say focus on the quality over the quantity. Now, the excessive screen time is linked to negative health outcomes. This is including anxiety. It's including depression, poor sleep patterns, and of course reduced physical activities, they're saying it can also negatively impact their brain development. And it can lead to a very short attention spans and reduced emotional regulation skills. If your child has ADHD already, if they've got anxiety or social challenges, it says it can especially even be worse and be more sensitivity to the effects of their screen time. So those are very valid and good reasons to be very careful and mindful and just to monitor the amounts of time they're saying is too much time. 1 or 2 hours or so, that's it per day. And then having self-control on that issue and monitoring it from there, I feel. Now, they do talk about a 20-20-20 and a 30-30-30 rule also. 20-20-20 being, I don't know which was first or second. I don't know if it was shorter and then they went longer, or if it was longer and they decided to go shorter. Some tells you they probably lengthened it, but it's every 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you're supposed to look away for 20 or 30 seconds. And you're supposed to look either 20 or 30 feet away. So if it's 30-30-30 or 20-20-20, depending. But that's supposed to be helpful. However, they're talking about eye strain, headaches, poor posture, sleep disruption, and mental health issues like increased depression and anxiety for the adults as well. So the eye strain and vision problems, they're saying you're staring at the screen for too long, you got dry eyes, headaches, light sensitivities and blurred vision, and general eye strain. There's even new names that they're referring to these things. Digital eye strain or computer vision syndrome. New things, new disorders and issues that are coming from too much screen time. Poor posture and pain. So you can, if you're sitting in a certain fixed position and you're looking at your device, it leads to neck and shoulder and back discomfort and spinal issues. Sleep disruption is coming from the blue lights, which I did get some blue light glasses for the children that were watching us to be careful about those blue lights they talk about. But they say it can really interfere with sleep patterns. It can also lead to insomnia. So the headaches are coming from the eye strain. Also, poor posture can even trigger headaches as well. And then, of course, we know if you're sitting around and you're on the devices too much, then it's associated with weight gain and other health risks from a sedentary lifestyle. So there is a connection between these things. The mental health issues with depression and things, there's a connection there. Now, the time frames, though, for adults, we talked about with the way that, children should, the time frames they should be. But teenagers, even 16, 24-year-olds, are 7.5 hours a day. And most people are 6.5 to 7 hours per day. Some even saying it's slightly higher in the U.S. This is the daily usage. The internet alone, they say, is about 7 hours globally. But so it varies a little bit with age groups. The older, I did see like 55 to 64-year-olds is the least amount of time out of the groups. It's like 5 hours and 17 minutes for the women and 5 hours, 14 minutes for the men. But most are anywhere from 7, 6.5. So you're looking at internet, you're looking at TV being included for about, 3 hours and a half, 3.5 hours a day. The social media is like 2. Printing and things are 2. You've got music streaming, that's about 1.5 hours. And then gaming, same, about 1 hour, a little over, and podcasts for about 1 hour. That's kind of the breakdown that's making up all of this time that people are spending, which is kind of surprising. It's surprising and then it isn't. I mean, you get sucked in, it kind of moves along quickly. You look up and hours have gone by if you're not careful with any one of these different areas that we have with our devices. Now, the scripture that I have for devices is in 2 Corinthians. The passage is from verses 3 to 11. 11 is where devices is. It's on forgive the offender is what it's the topic here. And I wrote this very thing to you, lest when I came, I should have sorrow over those from whom I ought to have joy, have confidence in you all, that my joy is the joy of you all. For out of much affliction and anguish of heart I wrote to you with many tears, not that you should be grieved, but that you might know the love which I have so abundantly for you. But if anyone has caused grief, he has not grieved me, but all of you to some extent, not to be too severe. This punishment which was inflicted by the majority is sufficient for such a man, so that on the contrary, you ought rather to forgive and to comfort him, lest perhaps such a one be swallowed up with too much sorrow. Therefore, I urge you to reaffirm your love to him. For to this end I also wrote, that I might put you to the test, whether you are obedient in all things. Now, whom you forgive anything, I also forgive. For if indeed I have forgiven anything, I have forgiven that one, for your sakes, in the presence of Christ, lest Satan should take advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Now, what are these devices? I always thought it was his plans, like he had these ideas, these tricks, these things, maybe. I don't know, that was my thought. But I'm looking it up, and when I looked up devices, let's go ahead and hear what this word is.
Strong's G 3540, Naima.
Okay, so this is what it is in Greek, the pronunciation. And it is not necessarily plans, but it is a mental perception or thought. It is an evil purpose. So in that way, I think that's sort of the plans. I mean, that's in the same arena of what I was thinking. That which thinks, the mind, its thoughts or purposes, perception, disposition itself, mind, thought. So the purpose, the mind, the thought, it's interesting too that it's referred to as his devices, his evil purpose. And that's the name of them. That's probably not by accident that they're devices that we're on, especially as we're learning about how they are affecting the mind. And some of the purpose there is definitely not good and some evil to it. So that is a very interesting, the mental perception. That's wild to me when I really think about that and really line it up with the devices and what's going on with the devices and this constant argument about that. So now my thought just being, we have to be mindful. We have to be careful. We need to look at the amount of time we're spending. We need to be showing self-control. I think with the younger ones, there's a timer set. It's an understanding of what it does to you. It's a discussion of why we want to take care of our minds and do things appropriately and what is best for us, for our health, for our mental condition, and of course to be mindful of what we're looking at. Now, the devices of the enemy, and this goes for the adults too, where he's wanting to come in and get in, we have to be careful about. And then with the scripture, not to forget to go over the scripture either, because forgiveness is key. We have talked about this many times. The devices of the enemy and knowing what they are and not being ignorant of them in this particular situation has to do with knowing that forgiveness has a root, unforgiveness has a root of bitterness. If you do not choose to forgive, you're opening the door for a lot of things to take place in your life that are contrary to what you want to see happening. It's giving room for things that we do not want to make room for. It's giving open opportunities for us to be going the wrong direction. So we know about the devices there, and we have to be quick to forgive. Sometimes it's a setup. I swear sometimes it's a setup that to where it's not even probably legit. We're not wrestling flesh and blood anyway. We know that. But things can pop up to where you feel like, well, I got to deal with this and I got to say something about this, or we're holding on to something about it. So we got to be quick to forgive, because that is definitely one of the devices used by the enemy that we are not ignorant to. But when it comes to the devices that we're using, we have to be careful as adults and with our children, because with our devices, we don't want to fall victim to the devices or the plans and intents that are not for our good and affecting us in ways that we do not to be affected, whether it is mentally or with our health. We don't want to be ignorant to those devices, and we need to watch the time we are spending on our devices. Don't forget to find the word, and I will see you tomorrow.